The bedside clock flashed 12:17 a.m., its bright shine cutting through the shadows of our room. I acted like I was sleeping, my back facing the entrance, but every part of me was trembling. I'd been resting there for hours, reliving the same heart-twisting moment in my thoughts. The image of her vehicle rolling into the pathway 10 minutes sooner than normal. 10 minutes ahead of when she said she'd returned from her night job at the clinic. The bed sank next to me, a known pressure, yet tonight it seemed strange, unsettling. I could sense her breaths, the quiet swish of her garments as she slid beneath the blankets, a noise I once found soothing, the pattern of our days woven together. Now it was a signal of disloyalty. I stayed still, didn't risk showing. I was alert. Every muscle in my frame was locked so firm, I feared I might break. I could almost feel a bitter sting of fury and sorrow climbing in my chest. I waited, breath paused, listening as she lay beside me, a quiet intruder in our shared haven. Then I caught it, a faint sigh, a quick gulp of air. Her breathing faltered, then ceased entirely for what seemed like forever. I nearly couldn't stop myself. The need to reach out to ease her was strong. But then I recalled the messages I'd uncovered, the ones I wasn't meant to find, and the impulse faded under a chilly surge of revulsion. She'd seen the note. I turned over, making myself gaze at her. The dim moonlight pouring through the window lit her features, her eyes huge with a dread I'd never witnessed. She gripped the lone piece of paper like it was a deadly creature. Her mouth shook as she started to read the words I'd carefully crafted, each one picked with a hurt she'd caused me. The note wasn't truly about rage, it was about the empty pain in my heart, the sense of being completely alone in my own partnership. It told of how the warmth had vanished from our house, swapped with a distant, unfamiliar frost. It spoke of broken faith, of a tomorrow I could no longer picture with her. And it closed with one crushing line, I know about him, Lila. She glanced up at me, her expression a veil of panic. How did you find out? She murmured, her voice barely there. Does it matter? I replied, my tone even and empty of feeling. I'd pictured the scene 1,000 times in recent days, each version ending with me shouting, maybe even weeping. But in the stark, raw glow of truth, I was steady, oddly so. She didn't respond, just gazed at the note like it contained solutions to every unsolvable riddle. It's pointless now, I went on, my voice soft and firm. I've known for weeks, Lila, the late hours. That didn't add up, the whispered calls, the scent that wasn't mine. It's finished. Tears flowed down her cheeks, silent, powerless. Please, James, please don't, she pleaded, her voice breaking. I slipped up, she said. Slipped up? I echoed the phrase, tasting it like dust on my tongue. No, Lila, this wasn't a slip. It was a deliberate choice, one you made again and again, each time wounding me, wounding us. Now you must face that. I slid out of bed and started dressing. The quiet between us was heavy with unsaid thoughts, with blame and sorrow. The person before me was unfamiliar. I couldn't match the kind, devoted spouse I thought I knew with this dishonest figure in front of me. Where are you heading? She finally asked, her voice faint and fragile. To see someone, I answered, slipping on my boots. I didn't explain further. I didn't have to. She understood. The ride to his place blurred past me. I wasn't sure how I arrived there. Every stretch of road twisted like a blade, each vehicle passing by a cruel nudge of the joy I'd been so thoughtlessly robbed of. By the time I stopped outside his home, my fingers trembled, my grip on the wheel so fierce my hands ached. The fury was swelling, a blazing storm inside me, eager to burst free. He opened the door in a casual shirt and trousers, a sly grin spread across his features, the same grin I'd spotted in the pictures I'd discovered on Lila's device. He was a mockery of all I wasn't. Youthful, brash, lacking any trace of honor. Need something? He asked, that slyness unwavering. I believe so. I answered, my tone deep and threatening. I'm James, Lila spouse. His face drained of color. The arrogance swapped for a spark of alarm. He tried to shut the door, but I was faster, wedging my boot in the gap. I forced my way in, the wild, untamed anger I'd held back finally breaking. Loose, you've been with my wife. I declared, the words a sharp, bitter growl. I needed him to grasp what he'd ruined, to see in his eyes the wreckage he'd wrought. He attempted to brush it off, stumbling over words, fumbling excuses, but I wasn't hearing it. I seized him by his shirt, front, and yanked him near. You think you can stroll into someone's world and claim what's not yours? You thought you'd escape unnoticed? My voice quivered, not from fear, but from wrath. I was finally consumed by it. I didn't say much after that. I just unleashed all the anguish and betrayal I'd been carrying and struck him. I struck him until my hands were bruised and raw, until he lay crumpled on the ground, groaning in defeat. I didn't mind. He had it coming, and in that instant, it felt right, almost cleansing. I left him there, a shattered heap on his parlor floor, and stepped out into the darkness. The breeze was crisp, and for the first time in ages, I felt I could breathe. But the clash-eyed had did nothing to soothe the sting of deception. I'd taken my vengeance, but it hadn't mended a thing. The next few weeks blurred into a haze of attorneys, documents, and a gradual, painful unraveling of our shared existence. Lila packed up and left. She tried to speak, to express regret, to clarify, but I couldn't stand her voice. The memory of her clutching that note, the dread in her gaze, was a steady echo of what we'd lost, or, rather, what she'd cast aside. Word of her disloyalty raced through town like sparks in dry grass. It was a small place, after all. The murmurs trailed her, the harsh looks a ceaseless mark of her disgrace. Her companions, our companions, turned away. The life she'd known, the life she'd so freely gambled, fell apart around her. His world wasn't spared either. News spread, and his standing as the village's fresh face morphed into that of an outcast. He lost his work, his allies, his place in society. He couldn't show himself in public. I, meanwhile, became a figure of pity, a casualty of fate, the wrong partner. Folks offered their sympathies, their encouragement. They praised my courage, my endurance. But that's not how I felt. I was hollow. I went through the routine, heading to my job, settling my dues, managing all the tasks I'd always handled. But without her near me, my soul felt torn away. Even now, years on, the faint ache still haunts me. Sometimes I ponder what broke, when we began to slip apart, when our bond started to fade. But then I recall the note, the expression on her face, and I realize some betrayals can't be pardoned, and some scars never fully mend.